Beatriz never imagined that her life would take such a drastic turn at 48 years old. After an entire career spent suffocating in an office, she decided to follow her childhood dream, working with animals. Since she was little, Beatriz had been fascinated by nature, especially primates. She was always intrigued by their intelligence, their human-like gestures, and the deep gaze that seemed to hide ancient secrets. It was after a difficult divorce and the terminal diagnosis of a close friend that Beatriz realized, time is too short to waste. So, without much experience but with courage, she signed up as a volunteer in a chimpanzee preservation project in Africa. The selection process wasn't easy. The interviews required her to prove she was more than just an enthusiast. She needed to demonstrate commitment. Against all odds, Beatriz secured a spot. Arriving at the reserve was both a dream and a nightmare. The humid heat was suffocating, and the first few days were marked by skeptical glances from the other volunteers. Most of them were younger, with degrees in biology or veterinary science, and years of experience in the field. To them, Beatriz seemed like an intruder, a last-minute adventurer. They made comments in passing, questioning her ability to adapt to the environment. But Beatriz was determined. The more they doubted her, the harder she worked. Do you want to know where this story goes? Before we continue, if you want to help our channel keep bringing amazing stories, give this video a like and subscribe. If you enjoy it, turn on notifications to know when new videos are released. Soon, in the first month, Beatriz met Kito, a chimpanzee rescued from illegal poachers. He had lost part of his family in a brutal attack but seemed to have a special curiosity for humans. While other chimpanzees were more reserved, Kito approached the fence and watched the volunteers closely. Beatriz felt drawn to him. Whenever she could, she would sit near Kito's area to observe his behaviors. Although the others advised against getting too close, Beatriz couldn't help it. One day, while observing Kito, Beatriz noticed something unusual. He mimicked her gestures, as if trying to understand what she was doing. When Beatriz moved her notebook to make notes, he grabbed a branch and began drawing on the ground. It was rare behavior, and it indicated the intelligence that had always fascinated Beatriz in chimpanzees. She told the other volunteers about it, but they just shrugged. To them, Kito was just another animal. To Beatriz, he was special. One day, after a meeting where her ability to understand chimpanzees was once again questioned, Beatriz decided to prove herself. She decided to explore a more remote area of the jungle to observe chimpanzees in their natural habitat. It was a risky move, but she thought it would be simple. "I'll be back in 2 hours," she thought. She took only a light backpack, water, and her notebook. As she walked through the jungle, she felt at peace for the first time since arriving. The sound of the leaves rustling in the wind and the birds singing enveloped her. She found chimpanzee tracks and got excited, jotting everything down in her notebook. However, as she continued, she noticed the environment becoming eerily silent. The birds stopped singing, and the jungle seemed to grow denser. A chill ran down her spine, but she attributed it to her lack of experience. Suddenly, a low growl broke the silence. It was a roar, deep but filled with threat. Beatriz froze, her heart racing. From behind some bushes, a leopard emerged. She knew she couldn't run. That would only provoke the predator. She tried to back away slowly, but tripped over a root and fell. The leopard advanced, growling. It was the scene she had only seen in documentaries, but now it was real, and she was the prey. Seconds felt like hours. Beatriz tried to scream, but her voice wouldn't come out. The animal was getting closer. And then, when all seemed lost, she heard a sharp noise from above. A chimpanzee descended from a tree, screaming and hitting the branches. It was Kito. The chimpanzee's presence confused the leopard, and it hesitated. Kito didn't back down. He started throwing branches and stones at the predator, letting out shouts that echoed through the jungle. Beatriz watched in shock. It was as if Kito was taking charge of the moment, confronting the leopard with a bravery she never imagined seeing in an animal. The leopard backed off, still growling, and disappeared into the thick vegetation. Kito turned back to Beatriz, and as if to make sure she was okay, he gently touched her arm before disappearing into the jungle. Beatriz remained frozen for several minutes, trying to process what had just happened. When she finally managed to get up, she walked back to the base, still trembling. When she arrived, she told the other volunteers everything. Some laughed, saying it was impossible. Others thought she was exaggerating, but Beatriz knew what she had experienced. In the following days, Kito began to observe her more frequently. He seemed to recognize the bond between them. When one of the volunteers recorded a moment when Kito approached her and touched her arm, the video went viral on the reserve's social media. People from all over the world were moved by the story, but criticism also followed. Some said it was all staged to attract attention to the reserve. The sudden fame was difficult for Beatriz. She was there to work and learn, but now she was seen as the woman saved by the chimpanzee. Moreover, the volunteers who had already criticized her became even more distant. "You shouldn't have gone alone," they said. It was luck, not merit. But for Beatriz, Kito's act meant more than survival. It was proof that the bonds between humans and animals could transcend words. She decided to turn the experience into something positive. She started writing about her time at the reserve, sharing what she had learned about chimpanzees and the importance of protecting them. She published an article that was widely praised in the scientific community and eventually turned Kito's story into a book. Today, Beatriz still works at the reserve. She often says that Kito didn't just save her life that day. He also showed her the true meaning of courage. "He showed me what true empathy really means," she says. Her story continues to inspire people around the world to respect nature and value the bonds we create with it. The video ends with Beatriz's impactful words, "Kito saved me in more ways than one. He didn't just protect my life that day, but he also showed me that empathy knows no boundaries." Want to know more about this story and many others we still have to share? Then don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Every day, a new story comes straight from our mysterious archive, filled with tales and accounts we've gathered from various sources. Cases with stories that will give you chills. Also, don't forget to share this video with that friend of yours who loves a good mystery.